leave it to Blade of the Immortal to reunite pretty much every character by the end. But not only do that, have some great action, have some great emotional turmoil, but like with the whole Taito and Manji situation, they surprisingly made amazing traveling companions. Like, probably better than any of us saw coming, and we didn't want it to end because of how great it was, but we knew eventually that chemistry had to stop and they would have to part ways. They did that again, but this week with Rin and Kagisa. Like, I did not see that coming. Out of all the people that could be mixed and matched and have pretty good chemistry, I was not expecting the root of all evil to get along pretty well with our girl, and she also getting along pretty decently with him. It was such a conflicting episode. There was a lot of emotions going through me, feeling like, Rin, if you just get rid of honor, kill this man, screw the code, everything that you've been kind of lost in rage for would be gone. But it almost feels like the longer she travels with Manji, the more of like a warrior code she's gaining. And it's quite interesting the number of times they bring up conversations and just these dialogues that are pretty much saying, what is the point? What will killing me actually do for you? And it's not even like he's trying to get out of this situation. It's like he totally accepts, like, hey, if you just want to kill me, if you say, I've wronged you and killing me is your solution, go for it. But here's the thing. Should you go down this path, you eventually have a family, you eventually have kids, make sure they don't follow in your footsteps. Something that we've seen brought up before. I mean, it's something that is just so great because every character in like this time period, for the most part, is going to do things that are probably not all that moral and are going to rub us the wrong way. And I'm not here to say that this group is without their sins, far from it. But I like how when we do focus in on them as if they are a focal main character, we're not really looking at what they're doing to people, but just really looking at their more human sides. It almost feels like what Blade of the Immortal is doing is showcasing a variety of personalities and beliefs, and how in this time period people are going to do horrible things. People are going to say horrible things, all because, for whatever reason, their end result is what matters to them. And in this episode, we get something that's very similar with Rin. I mean, she immediately tells Manji, kill them all. Kill every last one of them, and Manji says, I can't just go around killing everyone. Well, they may be a threat, or they may link up. Like, you have to really give me a reason that these people deserve to die. And that actually kind of highlights the whole idea that, put into their situation, right? What if they had a family? What if they had a wife, kids, people that truly care about them, and they've just been wronged by this man, and this girl is trying to protect him, and now they're all dead. Wouldn't a child get mad at, say, Rin because of what she allowed to happen, right? So everyone kind of does really horrible things, whether that is with rape, whether that is with murder, whether that is with self-harm so you can't hold a weapon anymore by basically sewing your hand together. Like, there is so much in this world that the more you see, the fact that we're not just focusing in on Rin and Manji, it allows for us to see the antagonists as actual people. Yes, they may disgust us with a lot of their actions, but even what our main characters are doing a lot of the time, it's not even all that different from what happened to Rin's family. It's just applied to a different section of characters. People just working so they can feed their family, feed themselves, not starve in the process. That's why people sell their bodies or they sell themselves as a sword, right? There is so much happening in this episode. By bringing pretty much everyone together, it showcased that there's a reason why we're following a more honor-bound code. Because really, what Rin's trying to do isn't all that different from the people that she despises, right? All just fighting to live another day, taking down the people who've wronged them, and to make sure that they get out on top. So it actually kind of makes sense for the story and the mindset for these characters, because, by this time, they could all travel together and probably get along pretty damn well. And I wouldn't have said that in the intro of Blade of the Immortal, not whatsoever. But at this point, there's a lot more in common, and that's something that is so great for the story because we're literally watching a group of killers kill their way to their objectives. It's just because of what happened to Rin's family, we focus on a certain section of characters as being the worst of the worst, but really, everyone's kind of the worst of the worst, and the fact that she's not willing to just get rid of her revenge, she probably could become something alongside them. Or maybe this cast of characters will evolve into something a lot more natural and heroic. You never really know, but it's like, I love how instead of just painting them as these vile villains, as these vile scumbags who kill and rape their way to victory, they're kind of presenting everyone in this very morally ambiguous light, as if you really focus from their point of view, a lot of what they're doing, it may look like the people getting inflicted with these horrible things, whether it be violation of the body or just outright murder, it may make them look like horrible scumbags. It's all about perspective, and anytime someone, an author, an anime original project just being helmed, like, if you are going to bring up such a really negative time period, the samurai, and just all this, like, moral and honor-bound codes, if you can actually write your characters as being multi-layered, both on the protagonist and antagonist side, what that means is that people across the board are going to look at your story maturely as if you're not some anime story. Because when those characters are just the villain of the week, they are just, I am evil, I do bad things, and that's why you need to kill me, people don't really care. But at this point in time, I think a lot of people could probably agree, even if we dislike a lot of the acts that have been applied to, say, Run's family or just what these characters do, at this point in time, from Kaisa to Taito to all these characters, I would actually kind of feel bad should they die, not because I think they're good people, but rather the layer that they add on to this story. It makes it so much more worthwhile watching, and that's why that whole reunion at the end was so fantastic. Just the whole idea that the big reason why they were able to travel together for so long is that this man pretty much got sliced by a sword that was pretty much covered in manure overnight. It's a tactic that's been used all across history. Basically, if you can't kill them, you most likely will give them a disease, either something that's fatal or something that's most likely curable, like he has. And I like the idea that as his body is slowly kind of deteriorating over time, the more of a bond they're forming. Not like they want to be best friends, not like they want to start a family together, but rather they see, I think, a lot in each other, that it's like there's almost this mutual respect despite clearly Rin having this deep-rooted hatred. She easily could have sliced his neck, but I think she's starting to realize that, yes, she has been a child. And, you know, being a child is going to take a long time to evolve. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it took her 10 years in her life to really evolve to the point that she could walk side by side a lot of these characters and not feel like the naive person. She herself admits that she doesn't think things through, that she is emotional, and whatever she sees, if these characters need to die, she doesn't think past that. That's why she definitely needs good guiding hands, and I think Maji would probably be the best one for this. But it's interesting how, because she can be so naive, it allows her to have these situations with characters she wants to kill, but then starting to see things from other perspectives, and that maybe just mindless killing isn't always the answer. And with Maji kind of resisting at first, it's just interesting to see her transition and how she's actually opening up to this world, and in return it lets the viewer open up alongside her, making this entire journey feel multi-layered and incredibly complex. Like, that's what's so great about this story, and why I eat it up every single week. I did a recording for our awards. We do JWorks podcast once a month. This month was the awards for the fall season. And my friend JC brought up one of the categories was basically best art design, and he actually brought up, you know, he was thinking about Blade of the Immortal, and I wasn't really thinking about it, but actually once he said that, I was like, man, Blade of the Immortal, its art is so beautiful to look at. You really can just like bask in you can just pause, you can listen to its OST, and just be taken into this world. There's such an interesting aesthetic to just the way they detail things, from plants, the amount of rain. It just feels like it's a living and breathing world with so much, it almost feels like it wants to go watercolor at times, but then it just kind of brings it back. The muted colors, the browns and the greens, it just makes you feel like this is a real historical setting, and then based on the characters' motivations, it adds on into that. I know people like to rip into the animation or lack of animation a lot of the times, but the art design is beautiful to me. I love it so much, and when my friend brought that up, I was like, you know what, I really wasn't thinking about it, but I've been enjoying the art design all this time without really praising it as much as I think I should, so I definitely want to give praise there. And just episodes like these, and actually seeing the people keeping up with Blade the Immortal and actually enjoying it pretty similar to myself, it almost feels like we have a cult following at this point in time. It's a show that obviously isn't going to be viewed as highly as the hits of the season, especially because I guess it isn't following the manga as closely as some people want, but I am really happy to see that, you know, I've been enjoying this since the beginning, and it kind of felt like, you know, I was going to enjoy it, and pretty much I'd be one of 5 people enjoying the anime. But it almost is feeling like, even if it isn't getting as much discussion as maybe I think it deserves and other people do as well, it is nice to see that it is gaining this sort of cult following, and those are actually pretty fun. Those cult followed shows that maybe over time explode, or maybe just had this kind of niche little audience that they really appreciate it. And I think for just the design of the show, the style of the show, and the story that it's telling, it almost kind of feels fitting for what's happening. Even though the manga is one of the all-time greats considered, the way the anime is handling it, it almost feels like it's being presented as this more secluded show with a secluded audience, but those who really have been keeping up with it seemingly are really enjoying it alongside myself, which I definitely appreciate. It just feels like Blade the Immortal is doing something so different for its historical setting. A lot of times it doesn't live up to the brutality, and if it does, it feels way too edgy. But here, it feels like we're sucked into the madness and we can't look away even when we're seeing characters literally losing their arms and heads, and I completely love it. The episode, from voice acting to music to even the production, it really captured me. Sure, there's definitely shots where you're just looking at clouds in the sky, but for the most part, it feels so damn beautiful to be captured into this world, and 20 minutes flies by, and I'm immediately wanting another episode. Now, since next week is Christmas, I believe there still is an episode coming out next week, so next Wednesday. I definitely will be taking a break. I don't want to do anything other than Cautious Hero on Wednesday because it is Christmas, so what we'll probably end up doing is New Year's Day, if there is an episode as well, we'll probably just do a joint review for 13 and 14, so if you don't see one next week, maybe I will do it, but most likely not. Just know that is why, because I'm probably just going to do a joint review for them because of the holidays and all that kind of madness. But obviously, they could easily take a break because it's the holidays, so maybe I won't have to. But anyway, just want to throw that out there so people who have been enjoying these reviews will know what is up if you don't see a review next week. But that is all for this review. I really enjoyed this episode. One of my favorites for sure. I think just kind of combined with the Taito Manji kind of traveling stuff and then what we saw here, it's just a really good arc overall and something I don't think many of us saw coming. But what did everyone think? Either for source material readers, anime originals like myself, whatever you're feeling, tell me know down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and remember to hit that subscribe button if you have been new. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.